Hello everyone, welcome to this induction talk for religious studies at the Sixth Form College in Colchester. My name's Laura and the aim of this video is really to give you an insight and a flavour into what it's actually like to study religious studies at college. So clearly an important question that we want to try and answer is, what is A-level religious studies? You may or may not have studied religion at school. It doesn't matter whether you have or not. In answer to the question, what is religious studies? I think there's several ways we can try and answer that. It certainly involves asking and trying to answer philosophical questions about the existence of God. It involves questions about the rightness and wrongness of certain actions. And it will also involve a significant element of studying a world religion, which for us at the Sixth Form College in Colchester is Christianity. But I think the best way to find out what religious studies A-level involves at college is to do a bit of religious studies. And that's where we will be heading in the video shortly. So I'm going to pose a question for you now, a question that relates to one of the big topics you will study as part of the A-level religious studies course at college. And the question is the one you can see on your screen. Do we have free will? I just want you to think about that question. Take a couple of seconds now to just think about your answer to that question. And it's okay if you don't have a clear answer. I think that's one of the things about religious studies, is that we can answer these types of questions in so many different ways. So you're watching this video now, you've maybe logged onto a computer or a tablet and you're watching this video now. Was that a free choice that you made to watch this video? If so, could you say why it was a free choice? Or actually, were there a series of causes that led you to watching this video? That watching this video was determined by X, Y, and Z, was caused by some external factors? Just have a think about both of those options now. Really what I'm wanting you to think about though is whether we have any freedom to act at all. So on this slide you will see some more questions in the bubbles, and all of these questions are relating still to the question earlier about free will, but they're perhaps more specific questions that we could try and answer. Again, these are all questions that we would grapple with as part of the A-level religious studies course. And in a moment, we are going to take a few of these questions and have a look at what some famous thinkers have said in response to these questions. So I now want you to have a think about the question here on this slide. Am I free to choose how to behave? Just have a think about what you might think, first of all, in response to that question. Are you, the person you are now, are you completely free to choose how to behave? I'm also going to talk about a particular philosopher's answer to this question, and that philosopher is the man you see on the screen. He was a French philosopher named Jean-Paul Sartre, and Sartre is of the opinion that yes, we are all free to behave however we want. For Sartre, humanity has complete and utter free will. We can choose how we want to live our lives. And rather ironically for Sartre, the only thing that we can't freely do is to freely choose not to be free. He has this famous phrase, we are condemned to be free. So we can't do anything other than freely act. And Sartre also talks about this idea of bad faith. Bad faith is the idea that we convince ourselves that the lives we are living are lives that we have no choice but to live. When actually Sartre says, no, the life you are living, that is your free choice, and you are free to choose to live another life if you wish. So just have a think now. Do you agree with Sartre? Do you agree firstly that we are completely free? Do you agree with that rather contradictory, strange phrase of humanity being condemned to be free? The idea that we actually can't help but freely act. And finally, do you agree with the idea of bad faith, that we convince ourselves that we have no choices when actually we do? The next question I'd like you to have a think about is, has God predestined who will go to heaven and hell? Now, this question rests on a couple of assumptions. We do this a lot in religious studies A-level. We ask questions that assume that God exists. We do debate the existence of God and the non-existence of God as part of the course. But for the purposes of this question, let's just assume God does exist, and let's also assume that he's all-knowing. He knows everything. So if God does exist, and if God does know everything, then surely that means that he knows who is going to go to heaven, walk up those pearly steps, and who is going to be damned to the eternal flames of hell. And for a lot of people, this seems very unfair, because it really implies that there is nothing you or I can do to change our outcome if God already knows. This is the view of a key Christian thinker called St. Augustine. And Augustine is somebody who we study a lot as part of the Christianity element of the course. You'll actually notice on this slide that I've put two questions together, and there's a very deliberate reason for that. They relate to one another. These are the final two questions I want you to think about. Do my genes determine my personality? And finally, am I morally responsible for my actions? So can I be blamed for the things I do wrong and praised for the things I do right? The first thing I want to talk about in relation to this question is something known as the warrior gene. Now, the warrior gene is allegedly something in our genetic makeup that certain people have that predisposes that person to violent behaviour. So not everybody has it, but those people who are born with the warrior gene are more likely, potentially, to commit violent crimes. This relates to a real life case in the early 1990s in America of a man called Stephen Mobley. Now, Stephen Mobley was a man who had a very good upbringing by all accounts, but walked into a pizza shop one day and shot dead the store manager. Now, when he was on trial, his defence lawyers argued that he was born to kill. They argued that Stephen Mobley had the warrior gene, and so he could not be found responsible, guilty of murdering, of killing the pizza manager. Just have a think about that line of defence. Does that sit well with you? Do you think that is a persuasive line of defence, or do you think that Stephen Mobley should have been convicted? On this slide, you can see some comments from previous students of religious studies at the college. I'll let you have a read of them yourself. Hopefully they give you a sense of what it's actually like to study the subject here at college. Let's have a talk then about what is actually in the course. As part of the Religious Studies course at college, you will study 3 different units, 3 different papers. Each paper is equally weighted. Paper 1 is Christianity, paper 2 is philosophy of religion, and paper 3 is ethics. I have put on the slide in front of you a few tasters of topics that you would study as part of each of the 3 papers, but of course there will be lots of other topics that I haven't put on the slide. If you do want more information about specifics and what will be studied as part of the course, then please see the college website, and the link for that is at the bottom of the slide. Something that you may or may not be aware of is that the department also offers, as well as Religious Studies A-level, an A-level in philosophy. There is a lot of overlap between the 2 A-levels, and you can actually do both A-levels alongside one another at college. There are some differences though, which I'll talk about in a moment. But if you would like some information about philosophy A-level, please again see the college website, and you can download the prospectus there where you'll have some more detail about the philosophy A-level. You can also watch the philosophy induction video. Here you can see a very quick comparison then of the 2 A-levels in our department. Religious Studies A-level, which we have been talking about in this video, but also the philosophy A-level that you might want to do some research about as well. In terms of how the courses are similar, both courses, both Religious Studies and philosophy, look at arguments for and against God's existence, and they both also deal with ethics, morality, the rightness and wrongness of actions. Where the 2 courses are different is that Religious Studies looks at Christianity in much more detail. So you will, as part of your Religious Studies course, be talking about Jesus, be talking about the Bible, be talking about how Christians today practice their religion. You don't do any of that in philosophy. That's the end of the induction video for Religious Studies A-level at college. I really hope it's been helpful. I hope it's given you a bit of a taster, a sense into what it's like to study Religious Studies at the Sixth Form College Colchester. As I've said throughout, if you do have more queries or you want to find out a little bit more about the course, then the college public website is the first place I would go, and you can download the prospectus there. Thanks for listening.